D here, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to kick it up a few notches and build ourselves a pretty awesome PC. We're going to make ourselves a gaming and editing build. We're going to dabble in the 1440p area for gaming and really create something special for editing as well and content creation. With that said, I'm going to break this video up into three parts. Number one, I'm going to go through the parts and why I chose them while I build. Two, we're going to do some gaming benchmarks and editing benchmarks. And three, we'll sit down and talk about it, and I'll give you my feedback on the performance of this system. And with that said, let's get to it. Okay, let's talk about the CPU and motherboard pairing. So for the CPU, we're going to go with an i5 13600K. This is an excellent chip, 14-core chip, 6 proficiency cores, 8 efficiencies. Turbo's up to 5.3 gigahertz, 24 megabytes of cache, 20 megabytes of L2 cache, total power draw, 125 watts. So a really solid chip. We're going to pair that with a Tough Gaming B60M Plus Wi-Fi motherboard. Now this is a DDR5 motherboard. Also has PCIe 5.0, so you're ready for that next gen 5.0 if you need it. Also has two M.2 slots, has plenty of connectivity in the rear panel, plenty of USB ports, both 3.2 gen. And also, as you can see, I'm going to use what they call a bending correct frame. This is by Thermalright. This is just something I wanted to try out. It seems that it might reduce the temperatures a couple degrees. So this is a hot chip, so let's give it a go, see how she works. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to remove the old bracket. So we're going to take that bracket out. Once we finish that, we're going to place the i5 13600K into the socket. And then we're going to take the new anti-bend bracket and place that over the socket and screw that down to the motherboard. And this will give it even pressure on all four sides. So I think we're off to a good start. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the M.2s. Here we have two of them. We have a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte. They're both Predators, and they're the GM7000. These M.2s are Gen 4 and have read speeds up to 7,400 mega transfers per second. Very, very fast. So the first thing we're going to do on the motherboard is remove the heatsink. We're going to put the 1 terabyte in the top. We're going to put it at a 45-degree angle. We're going to push it down, and then we're going to move the toolless key over it to hold it in place. Then we're going to replace the heatsink, and then we're going to repeat the same thing for the second M.2 holder. All right, so next we're going to install the RAM. The RAM I've chosen is, we have the Trident. These are 5600 megahertz. These 32 gigabytes at CL36. So first we're going to open up the DIMM slots. We're going to put in the first DIMM slot, look for that click, then we'll put it in the second DIMM slot, and hopefully we'll hear that second click, and then we're good to go. Click. All right, for the CPU cooler, I went with Deepcool Infinity Series. This is the LT520, 240 millimeter liquid CPU cooler. And it's a really great cooler. It's highly recommended. Has many, many reviews. So I just want to make sure we keep this CPU cool. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this bracket and we're going to flip the board over and push these through the 4 holes. And we're going to flip the board back over. Next thing we want to do is we want to put in the 4 spacers, drop them over those 4 pins. Now we're going to take the cooler itself, and this time we're going to attach the cooler now rather than wait until we put it in the case, because there's no captive screws holding in this bracket. So it's just going to be easier to attach it now. So once we put this over those 4 pins, we're going to take these screws. We're going to be 4 of them, screw them down on each pin. Notice we're going diagonally to maintain proper pressure. Okay, so for the case, we went a little bit upscale here. We went with the P30 Black by Zalman. It's a very good looking case. It comes with 3 pre-installed fans. And the 2 fans in the front, if you look closely, you'll notice that the blades are reversed. So it's already set up for intake, so you don't even need to flip them over. which is a great thing. All right, only thing left to do here is to install the motherboard into the case. So we're going to slide her in, make sure that the I/O shield is lined up with the holes and that the screw holes are lined up with the grommets. And then we're going to go ahead and screw her down securely to the case. So for the power supply, we went with the Montech. This is their Century G5. This is an 850 watt power supply. It's fully modular, and it's a really good power supply. It is 80 plus gold certified and comes with a 5-year warranty, which is a really great thing. Okay, so now all we want to do is attach the radiator to the top of the case, and we'll put in 6 screws, and then we're on to the graphics card. Okay, so for the graphics card, I went with the Predator Bifrost Intel Arc A770 OC edition. This is the most powerful GPU that Intel has to offer. It comes out of the box at 2,400 megahertz clock speed. Comes with 16 gigabytes of GDDR6. Has the AB1 codecs. And it's a pretty good looking card. It's actually quite heavy card. So we're going to get some great performance out of this, especially it's going to be being driven by the i5 13600K, which I think is a really, really good pairing for these two. Oh, we got power. Oh, that's not good. Bang. There we have it. So we have a post, ladies and gentlemen. So I got to install Windows, install some games. So I'll see you back here in a couple of hours while I do that. And yeah, not a bad looking PC. We're going to go into 3D Mark, and first up we have Speedway. In Speedway, we got a score of 2,474, which is excellent. So a real nice showing here in this benchmark. All right, so let's move on. Next up, we have Port Royale. And in Port Royale, we achieved a score of 7,212. Gives us a good rating, which is a real nice showing. Moving on to Time Spy. In Time Spy, we got a total score of 14,360. Our graphics score came in at 13,936 with a CPU score of 17,352, which is a really excellent showing here. All right, moving on to Firestrike. We got a legendary score here. We got 29,094, which gave us a graphics score of 34,228 with a physics score of 37,381 and a combined score of 11,839. A really excellent showing here as well. All right, and last, this is the Intel XeSS feature test, which is something a little bit new to 3D Mark, so we gave it a go. So in this test, with XeSS off, we got an average score of 30.19 FPS. With XeSS on, we got an average score of 47.17 FPS. So this has given us a performance difference of 56.2%. That's really great stuff to know. I don't really have anything to compare it to, but that's good data. All right, next up we get gameplay, and here we are in Overwatch. And we are at high settings, 1440p. We are at 144 FPS, locked it in at 144 because that's the refresh rate of the screen. And as you can see, smooth gameplay, not an issue here. So a really good showing in Overwatch. All right, next up we have Fortnite. Here we are at 1440p. I got all the settings set to low. And on the drop in, we're dropping in about 140 FPS. Very smooth, no stutters, because that's where you usually see the stutters, is on the drop in off the battle bus. So throughout the game, we're averaging between 170 up to 200 FPS at times. Things a little changed here, but pretty good. I don't have it locked in. You get a better, smoother experience if you lock in VSync. Because this monitor is only 144 hertz, so we are pushing it a little bit here, unlocking the frame rate, but good showing here. All right, next up we have Apex Legends. Here we are. We have 1440p, everything set to low. Here we are in the front of the map. The training grounds, we're averaging about 160 to 170 FPS. So a really good showing here. All right, next up we got Cyberpunk. Here we are in in-game benchmark. We are at 1440p. We are at high settings, preset, which I think enables ESS automatically. As we go through the run, we're starting out around 60, climbing up into the 70, and at the end of the run, we come in with an average of 72 frames per second. So a really good showing here. All right, next up we have Forza Horizon 5. Here we are in the in-game benchmark. And as we go through this run, we're averaging in 100 FPS range throughout the entire run. This is 1440p high settings, preset, and it's a really good showing and makes for really good smooth play. This is a well-optimized game, so you won't have any issues here at 1440p. You could even run Ultra on this if you want. Okay, so here we are in DaVinci. Let's do some quick editing tests. So I got about, where are we at here? About 11 minutes worth of video here. I have not put in any titles or anything yet, but as you can see, scrubbing through this timeline, very easy, not an issue. You can play, you can stop, you can replay it, move it back, no stuttering. Here we are. I thought it'd be fun. We do a quick render. So we're going to do YouTube 1080p HD. We're going to add this to the render queue. Replace and render all. Let's see how long it takes. It should go relatively quick. 11-minute video, 1080p HD, 3.5 minutes. That's pretty damn good. Let's wrap this video up. So we did a 13600K with the Predator A770. I thought it was a pretty good showing. A couple of quick notes on this card, the A770. You will struggle 1440p in some games, especially new release games, because their drivers aren't that well optimized. The Last of Us Part 1, I struggled to hit 50 on medium settings. So that's something to keep in mind. And the new Forza release, I struggled on that as well. In Clank, 1440p high settings, you're looking at 50 to 60 frames per second. It's still playable, but you're not going to get that high refresh rate. The Last of Us Part 1 struggled to hit 50 frames per second, 1440p high settings. So they still have some room for improvement on some of them drivers. So for the most part, I would say this is a 1080p card and some 1440p on certain titles and games. Starfield, forget about it. 1440p, not happening. But then again, that's that game is poorly optimized to begin with. But other than that, as far as editing, great for editing, great for 1080p gaming, no issues here. So tell me what you think. I think we should wrap this up. If you like what I'm doing, hit that thumbs up. If you really like what I'm doing, why not subscribe so you get notified when I create new content? And with that said, you'll have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye now.